All right, so I don't see anybody. All right.
Right.
So I think we are.
I'm gonna start recording.
See you guys.
Yep, how's it going, buddy?
See you, Nick. Good to see you, man.
Yes, sir. Stay engaged.
Okay.
Yes. All right.
Okay, we are recording.
All right. We got a couple of people here, so
All right.
looks like we're heading somewhere.
Slowly but surely.
All right. Let's make sure we get Sean in frame too.
We
All
got
right, guys.
a lot of people
Somebody give us a heads up and tell us if you can hear us okay. Not sure how the audio is. We almost need a production assistant. Somebody that can read the comments.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So I'm here with my buddy Seansqqatchpnw.
Hey, guys.
Say hi, Sean.
How you guys doing?
We're up here hanging out at Lolo Overland. It's been a pretty cool event. Gosh, there's got to be what?
Couple hundred people.
Couple hundred people.
Couple hundred
here.
rigs. I mean, it's packed. I mean, this place is packed.
It's going on for a little while longer, so if any of you guys are in the area, man, feel free to stop by and hang out with us a little bit.
Yeah, they were saying 3, but I don't think it's gonna stop then.
Yeah. So, real quick, before we get too deep into it, a couple of things we wanted to let you guys know. One is we're doing a little bit of a giveaway over on Sean's channel, so
That'll be happening. I have a book and an open knife that'll be given out. So what I want you to do is just go to my YouTube channel, click like, subscribe, whatever, and then go over to my Instagram channel, Seansquatch Pacific Northwest, and just say that you've followed me on my YouTube channel, and there will be a book and an open knife going out to one lucky winner.
and actually we got a couple other things, so just to repeat, so I'm going to throw in a nice Mora Bushcraft knife into the giveaway too. So we've got
Brand new open knife.
brand new open out. This is a folder, an open out folder.
folder, yep, flat grind.
Very cool.
And then Forest Life by George Washington Sears, aka Nesnick.
So we're going to tell you guys a little bit. All this stuff kind of ties back into the theme, and we'll throw a couple of we'll throw a couple of Coyote Works stickers and a Coyote Work patch.
We'll find some more stuff to throw in there.
Into the giveaway too. So go follow Seansqqatchpnw on Instagram, and I've tagged him in my most recent Instagram post too. Go to his YouTube channel, Seansqqatch_PNW. Subscribe to his YouTube channel, and then go over and leave a comment on his most recent Instagram post.
And then we'll get it sent out to you.
He'll pick a winner out of all those comments on the Instagram
I'll
post.
find like a random generator or something to figure it all out.
He'll make it. He's a fair dude, right? We'll figure it out one way
I
or
try
the
as hard
other.
as I can be.
All right. So one thing is, Sean and I go back a long way. Some of you might even remember seeing him on a few of my videos. It's been a couple of years since we've had a trip
I
together.
think 5 years, 4 or 5 years is our last one in Brothers, Oregon.
Yeah.
And it was
man.
-7.
Yeah,
It was cold.
Yeah, we had a history of doing some cold trips, man. Then we had
Either
that,
wet or cold.
the really wet one over on the coast. I remember at one point I had about 2 inches of water inside my tent.
Easily.
I think, on that trip.
Yeah, it was wet. I had 2 inches of water in my boots. The entire, 4 days we were there.
Yeah. So one thing that's really cool that Sean and I have always connected on is we're both sort of into the whole bushcraft thing, and that's kind of both, part of how we grew up in the outdoors was based around the whole bushcrafting concept, and you guys have seen me incorporate a lot of that in, kind of blend it in with my overlanding and car camping, and so we thought it'd be fun since we were getting together. Oh, hear everybody cheering out there. They're doing a giveaway out in the parking lot.
Amazing giveaway. Get on the Lolo Overland and go check out what they're giving away today. I mean, it's some amazing vendors and amazing people out here.
So you got to entertain him for a second, Sean. I'm making my afternoon coffee.
He's been trying to find caffeine for, a good solid 30 minutes, if not more. So we finally got it for him. So hopefully, he'll get rid of the jitters and get the caffeine jitters instead.
You guys don't want me falling asleep on you, right?
No, I try to call him a Mountain Dew, and he's like, I can't drink that crap. And now it's about the end of that one.
Yeah. So we're just going to kind of have some fun today, man. I thought it'd be really cool to talk about, you get a lot of questions about the bushcrafting and the camp crafting stuff on my channel, and it's something that, we've always really enjoyed. So we thought we'd just kind of talk to you about that. And then we have, you guys can see a little bit of this, but we literally have a whole table and piles of bushcraft and camp gear
Everywhere.
laying all
I mean,
around
it's
us.
everywhere. And so we have no idea exactly how this is all going to play out. But we're basically just going to, kind of share how your basics of getting into bushcraft and how that can, really fold into your love of overlanding and campcraft and all that good stuff.
God, that's good coffee.
Is it?
It's delicious.
Well,
It's
I'm going to
delicious.
drink my Rolling Rock from Lola.
All right, excellent. So, I think whenever I think about bushcraft, and this is something that we've had many a conversation around the campfire about.
Hours.
The question always comes up, like, what exactly is bushcraft? What does the term bushcraft mean? And I think personally it can mean something a little bit different to everybody, I think, but.
I think everybody's going to have their own variation, and I think they're all going to see it slightly differently, but I think it all is going to go into the same field. Sooner or later, it's all going to connect, But yeah, I think, everybody has a different idea of what bushcraft is to them, and it can be from the fanciest gear to the lowest level gear. And it's just how you utilize that stuff to have your own experience in bushcraft.
So to you, like, what do you, when you think about bushcraft, if someone asked you the question, what is bushcraft, how would you describe it?
I mean, there's a lot I can throw into there.
Right.
With bushcraft, I mean, I think, it falls into several different suits. It's the ability to use, universally use the environment around you to utilize shelter, food, crafting of, different items, to help you survive, in the woods. To make you not, per se not rough it, but, have the best time ever. And the thing is, like, I think, going out there, there's tree identification, there's food identification, learning how to trap, learning how to leather craft, green woodwork, how to make a tripod, how to make a basic survival shelter if you need. It's learning your environment, and utilizing tools on hand, whether they be more, the primitive or more the, newer tools, to get that all accomplished.
And that's interesting that you say that, because that's almost exactly the same way I think about it. And I think of, like, bushcraft and campcraft as it's basically sort of the art of creating as much of what you need to camp, survive, thrive out there, create as much of that stuff out of your environment.
Yep.
So conceptually, I think, like, the emphasis with bushcraft tends to be more on a few basic tools that you can then use to create your furniture, your bed, your
Absolutely.
shelter, all of those things that you need to camp in, you're going to build out of your environment with some basic tools.
And it will, I mean, if you're comfortable while you're camping, you're gonna have the best time ever. If you're not comfortable camping, or in the woods, I mean, you're gonna be miserable, and you're gonna hate doing that. At the same point, it's like, at some point, you're always gonna be uncomfortable.
Right.
Because there's always a learning curve. You're like, oh, I should have packed that because it's now this, or whatever. Or I should have brought this one tool because it would have helped me, finish or accomplish this task at hand.
Yeah.
And it's gonna happen, but as you progress into it, you learn what you need and what you don't need, and you could have a 80-liter backpack full of, like, everything you thought you need and miss out one item.
And that's the funny thing, I think that's the irony of it all, is that in the beginning, when you're earlier on in the learning curve, it's more likely that you'll be uncomfortable even with an insane amount of gear.
Yes.
Because there's a certain amount of it is knowing how to use your gear and knowing how to use your environment that just comes with experience. And so you might have a few of those kind of uncomfortable experiences along the way.
Yeah,
figuring that stuff
when you're
out.
trekking through the bush and you got 80 pounds of stuff and you use 10 pounds of it, you learn real quick, like, what you really don't need and what you do need.
Yeah.
and that can be a very uncomfortable experience,
Yeah.
And it's something you figure out really quick, like, I think, in my opinion, you do.
I think it's interesting too to think about that. Like, I think that really, we have our buddies the Brits to thank for kind of the term bushcraft.
Yes.
I think that really came more out of that UK, kind of the Brits world over there. But and so what's interesting to me to think about it is, like, at its core, I think bushcraft was kind of more specific to a very, like, woodland type environment. But
Sure.
in the United States, where we have a wider variety of, we have high deserts and deserts and everything like that. So bushcraft really becomes something that can look a lot different depending on what environment you're in.
And that's where it really comes into the whole, like, kind of woodcraft and campcraft, thing too. Because, like, say here in Oregon, I mean, we have, 7 different, varieties of, systems out here. We have, high Cascades, we have ocean, we have high desert, we have plateaus, we have plains, we have, old growth forests. I mean, and every condition is different, and you're gonna have to evolve at all times to do that. But the core elements of bushcraft will get you through in almost every one of those situations. Again, in my opinion, and it depends how comfortable you are. But I mean, again, that's something you're gonna learn on your way through.
And I think that's a really good point too, is that it really comes down to these kind of core basics, and I think that applies to like the gear and the skills. Like we're going to talk in a little bit about, you know, what are some of those basic tools that you can then leverage into a lot of more comfortable aspect, you know, that you can then use to create more comfort out there in the environment. But also the skill set that you were mentioning is, you know, what skills tend to be universal, and those, you know, to me, that's the kind of the art of the bushcraft skill set are these sort of universal skills like fire making.
Fire making is, but it also changes. You know, Casey being down in the high desert and me being in the national forest here in Mount Hood and Mount Adams, Mount Rainier and stuff like that, is I spend a lot of time in old growth forests. I have a lot of water. I also have very wet wood.
Yeah.
The first couple times, you know, I camped with Casey here. The first thing I did is I just started collecting every plant matter I could find to see what ignited better to make a fire. And it's actually on one of my YouTube videos. You know, I sat there and I just collected stuff while everybody was kind of setting up. And I was like, hey, I'm going to start a fire over here, guys, and see how this all works out. And it was amazingly easy. I was like, this is so much different than, you know, my national forest where it's swampy and wet.
And it's funny because I had the opposite situation. We all met up for a trip with Oregon Mike, and I think Nick was on it. Jason from the Primal Outdoors channel was on that trip, and this was years ago, and it was one of the earlier trips that I'd made in the rainforest over here. And I didn't spend a lot of time in that environment, and so I did kind of the same thing as you. I gathered a bunch of material to make fire out there, and I learned kind of the opposite lesson, that in my environment, even when there's 18 inches of snow on the ground in the high desert, I can scrape a little bit of sagebrush bark off and get it to take a spark from a fire steel and have a fire going in a couple of minutes.
Well, and the video that Primal shot for our winter trip, you know, I mean, we literally lit a fire using an entire juniper bush. Burned down the ground, and by the time we left, I mean, we had, probably lost about 3 feet of snow. I mean, it was deep, you know, but that one little plant was all we needed to start a fire.
And so I think that, like, even though fire making, there's different materials in each different environment, if you learn the concepts of what it takes to make fire, that you need a tinder material that'll accept a spark, you know, you need to get oxygen to it, you need to slowly build your materials, add, you know, slightly bigger materials.
And take your time to collect. One thing I noticed is a lot of people always rush. So you want to take the time to always collect, you know, your material, because the more you have on hand, the less likely you are going to fail.
And what I was thinking about is the idea that once you know some of those concepts, then you have a better chance of applying them successfully in a variety of different environments, right?
Absolutely.
You just walk out there, like guys like Sean and I, you know, at this point, we'll walk into an environment, wherever you take us, anywhere in the world, we'll walk into a forest and we'll look around, and we'll be able to have a good chance of identifying, oh, here's some material that we'll have good success making fire with. Here's some material that'll really help us make shelter with, or whatever.
As soon as I get my shelter up, the first thing I'm trying to look for is water. I'm looking for a possible food source, and I'm looking for fire. First thing, every time I get out, every time. After that, is where's the loot at?
In order of priority.
Yeah, priority.
Yeah, man. So one thing too, since we're up here at Lolo Overland, and you need more volume.
Yeah, sorry, I wanted.
No.
We actually had someone call in like, hey, no one can hear Coyote Works.
Okay, I'm not sure how to. I'm not sure how we're gonna fix that, but let's try.
Try to move closer.
Yeah, I should the mic off.
All right, sorry guys, we're having some. Apparently, we're having some technical issues. Okay.
Do you remember when Daniel said we could shoot in the, in the.
So maybe we need a mic.
The studio.
Yeah. Maybe we need a microphone, or we just need to project more.
I can project. I mean, can you guys hear us now?
All right.
I can be loud. There we go. All right, we got.
Hopefully you guys can hear us a little bit better now. Maybe. Oh man.
Now you're not gonna be able to hear it. That's a V8 bar stool that just got ignited right there.
Right. We might need to do that, Eric. We might need to do that. The problem is I don't have a very long cord on my microphone, so I can't get it. I can't get it very close to it. So hopefully that's a little bit better. We blocked some of the background noise from the outside.
I'm gonna scoot it closer here. There we go.
Scooted up a little closer here. So anyway, sorry about that, guys. And that's the thing about doing these live videos, and hopefully you guys, well, you've been awesome about having some patience, and by the way, too, I just wanted to say, the way we're filming here, we're a ways away from the screen, so I can't really see the comments and the super chats, but just know how much we appreciate that support. The, you know, as you guys know, for my channel, the super chats, the PayPal contributions, those are really the main, you know, financial incentive that I get for doing what I do. So we just wanted to say I really appreciate that and apologize up front for you guys that make those super chats, and I might not see your comments and be able to answer your questions. We'll try to get somebody over here to help us a little later.
I think we got 2 right now that are actually gonna try to help us right now.
Cool,
So.
cool. So we'll try to get some guys watching that can feed us your questions and stuff. So don't hesitate to ask the questions, and we'll try to keep up with them as much as we can.
As best as we can.
So the other thing I thought, you know, so we kind of talked about bushcraft, you know, what it is, kind of using your environment to make pieces of your camp out of.
Yep.
But a lot of people might think like that's a completely different kind of genre than like the whole overlanding and car camping world. But I think, you know, one thing that's kind of unique about you and I is that I think, you know, we camp out of our cars and vehicles and stuff, but we also do some bushcrafting.
Yep.
And we blend it in there. So for me, like I do that because, in part, because I love that process of looking around at my environment, deciding what I need. Hey, what can I make that can make my camp experience a little more fun, a little bit more enjoyable? I love
more
making.
interesting. It's also kind of fun to test yourself every once in a while.
Yes.
You know, it's like I have my nice rig over here, but like, what if I just take a couple things out of that rig and just see what I can do over here and see if I'm comfortable, if my skills are still where they should be, or do I need to practice something like knot tying or finding water, or identifying whatever. So it's definitely they do fall hand in hand, all but slightly, but they do. They really do start getting in there.
And that's an awesome point, man, is that's really part of it too, is keeping those skills. We don't necessarily need to do those things when we're camping out of our rig. Yeah, I don't need to start a fire with a fire steel or with a flint and steel, but sometimes I do just to keep that skill sharp. Of course, I've got a Bic lighter sitting in my glove box, and
speaking of
my
fire
Jeffy
steel,
box, and
I made that one for you.
oh, awesome, man.
So
Thank
speaking of
you.
fire steel, I was waiting for you
Thank
to
you.
use that magic word.
Look at that little deer antler right there.
Yep.
And is that a whitetail from
whitetail.
this side?
It is.
Well, whitetail. So for those of you guys that don't know, they've got whitetail and blacktail on this side of the mountains over here. But where I'm at, we don't. We have mule deer,
Yeah,
the
mule
kind
deer.
of deer that we have over on my side of the mountain. So this is kind of cool. Got a little piece of whitetail antler on a fire steel here. Oh, look at that. It even makes sparks.
Yep.
That's a good fire steel. Nice.
Sorry, Daniel. We'll fix that later. It's fine. No, don't worry about it, buddy.
Oh yeah, okay. We got our buddies back there stomping the flames out. So yeah, so I think for me the whole blending bushcraft with overlanding, car camping, and everything is just sort of natural. It makes it more fun, and it's a way to practice those skills.
Absolutely.
And I would really encourage, that's one thing. It's very easy in the vehicle camping genre to get very gear centric, to get very occupied with all the gear. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Like, I think that's super cool to have refrigerators and all this stuff, built right into your rig, I think is awesome. But I also think there's another level of camping and fun and a different kind of enjoyment that sort of can be had out of, building that teepee over your fire to hang a pot from, cooking on cast iron over the fire.
Using the creek for a refrigerator?
Yeah, using the creek, tossing your six-pack in the creek to let the creek cool it down.
Absolutely.
And
Sometimes simplicity is best.
Yeah.
Not every time, but sometimes it's best.
Yep, agreed. And I don't know why, but there's just like a different feeling that always comes from like building your camp,
There's a lot of nostalgia behind it for me. Growing up doing Civil War reenactments and rendezvous and Black Powder reenactments, it's like we did primitive camping. And that's the thing, is like that's where I learned about a lot of this stuff at the tender age of like 5 and growing up. And so when I heard the term bushcraft, I was like, well, I'm already doing it.
Yeah.
I've been doing it, I'm 40 years old. I've been doing it since I was 6.
Isn't that funny how we were actually doing this thing that there wasn't a word for, and then one day there was sort of a word for it.
And I was like, hey, all right, I can get into this.
I remember very distinctly, it was like right around the time that I met you and Jason and Oregon Mike, was about the first time that I'd ever heard the term bushcraft. And I mean, I very quickly, because you hear it used in a sentence or whatever, and I very quickly kind of got it, what it meant. But it's just funny that that was the first time I'd ever heard that term applied to that thing. But
It's probably, yeah, probably
like
about the
you,
same
and-
time. It's probably within a year of that, maybe before. You guys, we started that Oregon Bushcraft page on Facebook, which is how we
Yeah.
actually met, and how we got that all going together. And it was kind of the same thing. I'm like, well, it's a term I understand, but I'm like, it's already been there, kind of like overlanding. I mean, you've grown up, getting into deep woods, driving your Suburban up there, going elk hunting, and I've done the same thing my entire life. It's like, we get our rigs, we set them up with, extra diesel and, extra water and all this stuff, and we drive in the middle of nowhere and go hunting for 2 weeks. So like, I was already overlanding as well, some other things. I'm like, well, I've already been doing this, I've already been doing this, so it's funny how they just kind of fall into line. And that one term is what, defines it.
Yeah, and it's in some respects I think it's interesting because I think we were sort of doing all of these things, before the terminology got created, and then now we have these different terms that describe it more specifically. We're used to, it used to be you would just say we're going hunting, or we're going camping, or we're, you would just say that. And that might, that meant different things to different people. Some people, when they said they were going hunting, it meant they were hauling their RV trailer up to a campground and going to stay in the same spot for 3 days or whatever.
Right. And we'd always, we set up our wall tent, and go out there and be scouting for 2 days and be hunting for 5. And it starts snowing. That's like, man, time to go home.
Yeah. I remember when I was young, like elk hunting. Sometime for whatever reason, my dad guided some elk hunting for a couple of years while I was growing up, and so I remember like we would go up and set up wall tents like the week before all the rest of the hunters came. So we would go up. We would cut poles out of lodgepole pine for all the uprights, for the ridge pole for the wall tent, the end poles, and all the uprights around the side. So we'd cut poles with axes and bow saws, buck saws, basically bushcraft stuff. I'd process all the firewood. So we had, one whole side of one wall tent would be a big stack of firewood that I'd buck up and saw and split and everything. And but that was all that kind of campcraft stuff.
Same thing. Absolutely same thing. So I mean, we've talked about this for years. I mean, we have a lot of the same history when it comes to all this, and so I think that's why we've always meshed well. It's like it's always clicked with both of us.
And there's just something cool about, I don't know what it is. I think this might be just kind of a personality thing, but there's just always been something I've really enjoyed about just, I think of the term like honest work or whatever, when you go out in the woods and you just work with your hands and you make something and you cut down a sapling and you sharpen the end of it to, drive an end pole for a shelter or whatever. There's just something about that kind of work that I find really therapeutic.
I always sleep better.
Yeah.
I always sleep better. Have your fun, but doing a little bit of hard work, get that sweat going on. Unless winter camping, try to keep that one down a little bit. Hypothermia is a pain, but a little bit of hard work in the woods. I mean, I'll sleep like a champ, and you've witnessed that. When I start snoring, it's kind of game over.
That's when you've had a good hard day's work. Yeah, and
a pot full of chili, and
Yep. So I don't know if you can see. Can you see when comments come up on there?
I can barely see it. I mean, I got good eyesight, but it's pretty tiny on the bottom there.
I know. That little screen's a long ways away from us, but we'll try to get somebody. We've lost our film support crew.
We lost them both.
Got bored with our live, so.
Yep, they've heard it all before a couple times.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the gear, and I was thinking maybe a fun way to do it is why don't so here's kind of the theme is what Sean and I talked about is just grabbing a handful of some of our kind of what we consider like sort of your classic or your foundational kind of bushcraft.
I think foundation is definitely a good way to go. I think foundation is the proper word for that.
And we have a pretty good pile of it here in front of us, and maybe a good way to approach it is just you grab a piece of gear and talk about it, and then we'll just take turns.
Yeah, let's do that. Well, should we kind of started with fire. So
we did, yeah.
I guess let's just kind of keep going that route. Let's see here. So, not modern.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, let's kind of go with that. So, bushcrafting, flint and steel is kind of one of your, I think number one way to go to kind of learn primitive fire. Then you go into bow drills and all that good stuff. And like, even when I'm car camping and doing the more modern, bushcraft, another thing we'll bring up later. I always have this with me. I've always been able to start a fire. And I got a little bit of char cloth. I got some birch bark in here. Got my flint steel, a little bit of fat wood, and I'm good to go. And I think that's a good just starter kit. They're very cheap. They're very easy to maintain, keep a hold of. And it's just always good to have, and it's a good skill to practice.
Yeah, and one thing, I think one really important point about that too is that's a pretty unlimited, like if you have a piece of flint and a steel,
Yeah.
a piece of carbon steel to strike, like that's years worth of fires, thousands and thousands of fires.
And you can use quartz, and I mean, there's so many different rocks you can strike, spark off of, some better than others. But I mean, the thing is, like, if you have that steel in your pocket and you lose your flint, go dig around for a little bit. You'll find something that you can strike that's gonna get a fire going.
Yeah, even a lot of knives, like a good, I don't know, like even, well, not even necessarily good, but like a carbon steel knife like this, like I bet a piece of flint will strike.
Absolutely.
We'll get sparks off of the spine of this knife blade right
Takes a little bit more work, but it'll definitely do it.
Yep.
And then like, simple fire starters, I got a big old, honking piece of fat wood here, and like going around, in the woods, in my neck of the woods, is you find these old stumps that are cut down, and you want to make sure they're probably been cut for like 20, 30 years. And you go down, you go into the roots, or get into the core of that tree, and you'll find a piece of fat wood. And I know in your neck of the woods, this stuff is everywhere.
Yep.
I mean, it's not hard to find with all those junipers and
The ponderosa
pines,
Yep.
and the lodgepole pines.
Yep.
I mean, this stuff is amazing. And then you could go even with this, with the Blackbeard, fire starter. So a little bit of modern, a little bit of old school, but you're going to do the same thing, and it's going to help you create a fire. It's going to help sustain a flame for a long period of time, to get this all rolling.
And the cool thing about both of those is like this, and this is a modern fire starter that I use too, this Blackbeard stuff, but like, this one package of Blackbeard fire starter and this one piece of fat wood right here, I mean, there's 100 or more fires
Endless,
that can be started with just those two things.
Very, very easy. And I always have both of them just kind of laying around, always in fact, and they weigh nothing. I mean, we're talking an ounce,
Yeah.
And it's endless fires. In the worst conditions, because I tend to camp in the worst conditions. I'm really good at that one.
Yep. Good. Cool. So keeping with the theme of fire, I'll talk a little bit about the fire steel. So this is or Ferrocerium rod. This is kind of, I would say, the next level up from like flint and steel. Is an actual, these are like, these are a metal compound that's a combination of materials that basically interact with oxygen. So when you shave them off, they turn into sparks. So same concept is that you're creating a spark that you need to catch with some tinder to start a fire. Your spark's your ignition source. The difference being that these create a much hotter spark and a much more controllable and predictable result.
It's a lot easier to get it directly into the location of your tinder.
Yep, definitely.
Flint and steel. I mean, that's why you have the char cloth for flint and steel, because you're trying to control that in that environment. But this, I mean, you get it right down, and you just strike your arm back, and you can really direct that spray.
Yep. So good. I would say another good classic piece of bushcraft kit is a fire steel, and I have them attached to a lot of my knives. Here's one right here. Here's another one right here. They come in kind of all different configurations. A lot of people make them. Sean, you actually drilled and inserted. You buy the raw.
I bought the the rod and then
and
epoxied and got that all drilled out and I got it all compounded together.
I would say as far as just really fundamental pieces of kit, like having a fire steel in your kit.
That's one of them.
Whether you're a bushcrafter or an overland dude or whatever, I mean, you should have a couple of fire steels. You should have one in your bug out bag and etc. All right, so what do you got next on your list?
Oh,
I see we have a real similar knife too. I'm curious to get these bad boys out and compare them.
should we just go with knives?
Yeah,
All
let's
right.
do it.
You want to start or you want me to start?
Well, I'll just start by saying, I mean, obviously a knife is the quintessential, I would say.
Fundamental quintessential.
Yes. And like when I grew up, a knife was like the one thing that every guy was always going to have on him. And in the woods, you were probably going to have a folding knife in your pocket. It might be a little 2-blade case folding knife or something.
Yep.
Or
everywhere I go.
Yep. And then when you were in the woods, so you were always going to have that wherever you were. But if you were in the woods, you were probably also going to have a fixed blade knife.
Usually, and if you want to, double it up, you can do the Leatherman.
Definitely.
And this is like, I think it goes again with the old meets new. I mean, these are really, really handy, and I carry one everywhere I go.
Yep. I see you got another one.
I do have another one. Yeah. That's a big boy right there.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's show them a couple of knives. So I guess something else, I would say about, the topic of, what is the best knife always comes up, and that's something that over time I've gotten, I don't know, literally thousands.
I don't know how many times I've tried to, you can't answer that question. Everybody has a different preference.
You can't answer that question, but what I would say is when we're on the topic of bushcraft and campcraft, like I really feel like that's where kind of the concept of a relatively short blade knife, like somewhere in that 4-inch range, and a really comfortable handle. And the reason why I say that is because when I think of a bushcraft or a campcraft knife, I think of a knife that you're going to be working with a lot.
You want to have that control.
Yep. So you want to have that comfort and that control.
Absolutely. And when you're going and looking for knives, I mean, like, test them out, because everybody has, different size. I got really short, stubby hands, but they're super wide. And, and it took me a while to figure out, which, knives I really preferred. And LT Wright, where I got this knife from, when I went and bought this at the Blade Expo, he's like, put up your hand. I put my hand, he's got these giant mitts. I put up my hand, he's like, here's the 3 knives you'll like.
So get out that LT Wright knife.
Yeah.
Because I'm curious about something.
So that's the Gen 5 with the Scandi.
Okay, so this is, the knife that I'm holding is a Blind Horse Knives.
Yep.
Old original, when
original.
Blind Horse Knives and LT
LT
Wright
Wright.
were together in
Yeah.
the same company. What's interesting is there's a lot of kind of similarities in these two designs. Blade thickness is really similar, full tang, really heavy duty bolsters holding the handle on, brass inserts in the lanyard loop.
Lanyard loop, yep.
Real similar size-wise, a little bit different. This one that I have is called the Woodsman's Pro.
Yep. And this is the Gen 5.
That's the Gen 5 Bushcrafter?
Yep.
Yeah. But very similar, you notice, that this is one of my favorite kind of bushcraft knives.
Yeah.
But you notice they're very, very similar. A lot of similarities between those two knives.
And then another one of my favorites is the Tops Puko with the Scandi grind. And that's another great knife, and it has a well there for doing friction, you're doing your bow drill fire.
Yeah.
And it's a great little, I think you'd like that one
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a fantastic little knife.
Yeah, this is a really, really nice design for just comfortable carving, whittling,
Yep.
camp tasks like that.
And these are all really affordable knives too. I mean, we're looking at, I think, 180, 185. I think that was about, $135. So very affordable to, anybody.
Yeah. I don't think there's a knife. So this is an older LT Wright knife here, a little bit different design. This is an ML Knives. This is an ML Knives. Another one of that same kind of group of knife makers in there, but real similar. You can see this one's, similar size, design, everything. And yeah, I think everything we got on the table is under $200.
Yeah,
Right.
We got a couple Moras, got a couple Overlands. Yeah, I think everything's under $200, easy. And they're all fantastic. I mean, these knives will last you a lifetime.
Yeah, and then you've got, all the way out if you're just looking for something you can bang around in the woods with and you don't want to spend hardly anything on it, I think these Mora Bushcrafts are $40 or something.
25 to 40.
25 to $40.
Or
yeah.
you can go with the Mora Classic, and that's $15.
Yeah.
And that's, a great starting bushcraft knife.
Yep. Or what is it? These are the, I forget what they call these. They're the finish, basically the finish.
Yeah, that's tip of the tongue.
Right? Oh, come on, Eric. You know what these are? No? Dang it. They're like one of the classic little,
I knew it would come back.
Anyway, it's a finish knife. I'm pretty sure it's finish, isn't
It
it?
is finish, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But these things are, you can pick these up and they're great steel. Really, really comfortable, very light, small, good knives for carving and camp tasks and stuff. And God, I want to say they're...
And you can put it as a neck knife. You can carry it on your side.
Yep,
Either or.
a lot of people wear them as neck knives, yeah.
Again, a lot of the UK guys, a lot of Scandinavian guys.
Right. Dang it, that's going to drive me crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna come to us.
It is when we least expect it.
Probably out to the feed.
Yeah, yeah. And then you got the modern too. So on the
Yep.
modern side of things, like I've gone to where I carry for a folding knife. You guys have seen this before. This is my Benchmade. My buddy Austin over at Benchmade hooked me up with this, the Coyote Works AFO automatic knife. But then also the here's the Benchmade Bushcrafter knife. But
Which is
again,
another great knife.
yeah, great knife,
Yeah.
but right in that same kind of size blade, and everything is a lot
Slightly
of these
different
other
handles
knives.
as well. Only reason
Yep.
I didn't buy it is I just didn't like the handle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
the
that
blade's
is one
fantastic,
thing.
but the handle is kind of weird for me.
Yep, it is a little bit of a different kind of a handle
So
style.
do your shopping, play around with knives, and like go to those knife expos and ask to handle these knives, and find it, because an uncomfortable knife, or a knife that doesn't fit your hand, you're gonna hurt yourself, almost guaranteed, or you're gonna drop it, or you're gonna be upset with it. So like spend your time, and spend the right amount of money, and get something that you work with, that's gonna be comfortable. You're gonna a lot less injuries in the long run.
And what would you say, Sean? What do you think somebody probably has to spend to get a decent knife?
I mean, I carried when we first met, I was carrying the Condor bush lore,
Oh yeah,
$45,
yeah,
and I carried that for probably 4 or 5 years,
Yep.
and I loved it.
yeah. That's what I was kind of thinking. Is you can spend a little bit less and start out with like a Mora, but like to get something that's full tang, carbon steel.
Condors are great.
Handle, like somewhere, there's some decent ones out there definitely between 50 and 100, because that's even where like the Beckers,
Yep.
the
Beckers.
BK Knife and Tools,
Kershaw makes, Gerber makes a couple,
Yeah.
Schrade makes a couple,
Yep.
They're all in that, that 45 is, they say $65 range,
yeah,
which is, affordable for just about anybody,
agreed.
and it doesn't hurt so bad when you lose it. How's that treating you?
I like that.
Nice.
This is my manly drink of the day is the strawberry kiwi hint.
Yep, yep.
Can't beat that.
That's how he pulled out. Like at one point, he's gonna have to tell everybody what he's drinking.
I know. Again,
I was waiting for it.
that's good stuff. Between that and my instant coffee mixed up in a water bottle, I'm pretty good to go.
Right.
What's that?
So this is, I follow this lad named Matt Proza on YouTube, and he carries these around because he does a lot of fishing, a lot of filleting, but he also uses this for cutting all his meats, all his veggies, and it's a full size blade, so you can do a lot with it. Has quite a bit of flex,
Yeah.
and it weighs nothing.
I could
you're talking about 2 ounces, 3 ounces. I mean, it is light.
Yep. Do you want to get in on this live stream?
We'll let you into the cage here.
No. We're trying to put some of the other crew on the spot here.
Right.
Did you want to get in on the live stream?
On the live stream?
On the live stream, yeah, we're streaming live on YouTube right now.
Oh, no, but I'm good then.
No, you can't.
My purse.
Where's your purse at? Is it back? You can go back and look for it.
I heard something ringing over here earlier, so might be back there.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this.
Yeah.
Nice little, oh, see, you're on camera now. You have to say your name.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, you are kind. Like,
Oh, that's Tony's wife. Tony the mechanic.
yeah, that's
Oh
what
man.
I tried to get him to come in, but he's helping put away a jumping jack.
Oh, they're starting to pack stuff up out there.
Yeah, some of it.
It's probably gonna take a while.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
pretty good subs out there.
All right, so my question is, can any of you guys that are in here besides Sean or I pull up on your phone this live stream and look at the comments and tell us if there's any questions coming up? So for you guys in the audience, if you guys have any questions,
From YouTube, we're still going for Coyote Works.
Yeah.
yep, go to the Coyote Works live stream and see if
We just cannot see anything down here.
yeah. Sean, we're getting old, man.
Yeah,
We're
I'm not getting
old.
any younger.
I feel like it wasn't that long ago that we met, and we were so young then.
Yeah. I had a lot less gray and a lot less balding.
I don't think I had any gray then. Yeah.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
Uh-uh.
My beard was probably up to here, and now it's
Yep.
Someone did say move the mic closer.
Yeah, Becky Robertson says audio is a little bit noisy around.
Oh,
Yeah, we've been trying on that one.
yeah.
Oh, Bill Gates is on here.
Bill Gates is on?
Bill Gates says, Casey, move the mic closer.
Oh man, well,
Maybe you will stay sexy for that.
if Bill Gates is saying that,
I don't know if
I
we can
don't know
move
what,
it any.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can get any closer.
little bit.
I think that's.
Yeah, it looks like the sound isn't thing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably. Yeah, I figured. I was hoping with the echo in here that it might help a little
I
bit.
know.
Yeah, no.
No, that's good. That's
Yeah,
good
let's try
for,
that.
All right, we'll just we'll lean in. We'll lean into
That's
it.
what we're gonna have to do.
Yep, yep. So cool knife. man.
Yeah, and it's great. I mean, put in, get one, put it in your kitchen box, man. I mean, you can do anything with it. And again, it only weighs, a couple
Yeah.
ounces, and it costs about $17.
I think that'll be a good camp cooking. Or,
Yeah, I mean that's what I got for it. Like I said, Matt Prosa on YouTube, he does a lot of kayaking and a lot of canoeing, in the back country of like Minnesota and Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And he's the one I first saw using it. I'm like, I need to go find one. And so first thing I did. So yeah, it's awesome.
Hey, one thing before I forget that I wanted to talk about
Oh
because
yeah, it does have a lock. Yeah, it does have that safety. It has that locking collar.
oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. One thing I was thinking about, Sean, was something that if any of you guys have seen any of my older videos that have Sean in them, one thing that you've always done is cooked a couple of the meals on any of our big trips.
Oh,
And
yeah.
So you've got the whole cast iron cooking setup.
I think
and
I'm up
the
to
teepee and
17.
everything.
Yeah, I'm up to about 17 pans now.
Yeah, nice. And a lot of people on my channel really enjoy the camp cooking and stuff. So I wondered if there was anything that you could throw out there, any words of advice, or talk about, a few basic pieces of kit that people should get for cooking some good food around camp,
I
or
mean,
some of your favorite pieces.
I mean, like again, any cast iron is like, one of my favorites. This is a new piece of kit that I got just 2 years ago, and it's just a little backpacking grill from Pacific Northwest Bushcraft Shop, and they're on Instagram. And these things are great. So you can have a very very small fire, and you want to cook up, a little bit of porridge or a little can of soup. Right there, put on a couple rocks, you're good to go. Again, it weighs nothing. I mean, it's fantastic. These little titanium pots are also just brilliant. And you can
So
you
light.
can put your coffee in there, your tea in there, your spices. And it all condenses down. Put in that little skillet, throw it in your backpack, and it weighs 6 ounces, 7 ounces maybe.
Yeah, you've got an awesome little cooking kit
So,
there.
so these three together, with the say a Kuxia,
Yeah.
I mean that's all you need, and that's a very simple bushcraft kit
Yeah,
right there. I
yeah.
mean you are good to go.
Yep. Yeah, and you can actually, that gives you a couple of different vessels you can cook in,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
at
like,
the same time.
Honestly,
and-
like you don't even need this. Those two things right there, and a spork, and, and you're solid. I mean,
Yeah.
you're good to go.
Yeah. So on that vein, here's another one of my earlier kind of bushcraft cooking setups. So I think this is a Dutch military mess kit canteen, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And it's just, another one of those deals that's really compact, but it's got a couple of pieces to it. So this can be used as a pan right here to cook off of. And then, of course, it's got the main pot that you can cook off of, and it has a bail handle. And that's one thing that I really like in my bushcraft kit is I always like to have something that has a bail handle so
Yeah.
I can hang it suspended over the fire
Absolutely.
if I want to. But this is another real similar to that, although this is a little bigger.
Yep.
But this gives you, basically 3 different vessels that you can potentially cook in and eat out of
Yep.
in a really compact kind of a thing. And you can even, fit inside here, other pieces of kit you can fill it up with. So,
You can throw your spices in there, throw some turkey in there, I mean, just, you throw a small first aid kit in there. There's so many things you can do.
Yeah,
To just, if you're limited on space, in a backpack, use every container you have, to help you out just a little bit.
Agreed.
It makes life so much easier.
yeah.
And
agreed.
one of the new things too, like these titanium pots from Wood Knot Gear, it's a coffee press. It's all titanium.
Oh, nice.
Again, I mean, this thing weighs just a couple ounces, but I cooked, macaroni in there. I cooked stew in there. I've had my coffee in there. I've had my tea in there. And it's so lightweight, has the bail, has the handles, multifunctional. And so a lot of times when I don't take this, I just like, I'm gonna throw a couple, bags of soup in with me.
Yeah.
It's all I take, and then a fork and a spoon.
Yeah,
Done
yeah.
and done. Super cheap, super
Yep,
easy.
Yep.
Don't
we-
need a whole lot.
So we've kind of talked about knives. We just talked a little bit about cooking stuff, and then, you know, just a couple of other things that I would mention is I see you have an axe there.
I got an axe
laying
there. We both have Bacos, and here, that's one that Larry made there.
Ah.
Yeah, so that's rocking an LB right there. He makes a lot of amazing leather goods. He's made a lot of stuff that I'm wearing nowadays. My belt, this, quite a few night sheaths, and then we'll get to that one a little bit later.
So we've got the we've both got
Both
the
have the Baco.
Baco Laplanders.
7 years, I think, I've had this.
Yeah.
Never
yeah,
failed me.
Yeah, these are probably arguably the best, really inexpensive kind of bushcraft saw that you can have.
So
there.
that is like Coronas too. Like you can go to like Bi-Marts and like Home Depots, and those little Corona folding saws are about the same price. They're about 15 to 20 bucks, and they're great. They're stainless steel, but they're fantastic.
And a little saw like this, like it's amazing how much, I mean, an axe, I love doing work with an axe and everything, but for like cross-cutting stuff and everything, you can really process a lot more wood for a lot less effort.
A lot.
With a little saw like this, but also they come in really handy for cutting notches.
Notch, I was
and things
gonna say,
like
notch
that.
is the big one, and it can really
Yep.
save your hands in the long run. You know, if you're getting some delicate work in, use that and just pop out the blade, and I mean you're good to go.
Yep,
And
yep.
yeah, there's a lot less injury. Gets injuries in the woods, never a good time.
Ugh,
Never
terrible.
a good time.
Terrible. So I also see what I was kind of wanted to get us around to is like what is sort of the whole basic kit, and really to kind of illustrate that, like what I was thinking about is, I mean, really, you take this pot right here, and here's an example of a really inexpensive, this is basically a Green River butcher knife style, really inexpensive. I think these things are like 20 bucks or something.
Oh, you can buy a 5-pack of them right now on Amazon for something like $45.
A 5-pack
Yep,
of them.
a 5-pack with
yeah.
different size, and they're all mild steel. You get them in stainless too, but you get them in mild steel, the old hickories. Super cheap.
Whoops. So I'm thinking literally like, all right, you hold, so we've got a cooking kit,
Cooking
we've got
kit.
an eating utensil and a knife,
Yep.
you hold those.
All right.
Here's some number 36 bank line, so you got your cordage there for making shelter.
Or you can do your 550 paracord.
Or you do your 550 paracord, you add to that a tarp,
Yep.
and with that right there, and let's throw a ferrocerium rod in there to make fire, and on top of that, you throw in a can of beanie weenies or pork and beans, a couple of packs of top ramen or something, and
Yep.
that's actually, now hold that up and show everyone, I mean, that's
How small that
basically,
is.
I mean, both Sean and I have gone in the woods with that much stuff and
And had
had a nice time.
Best time ever.
Yep,
Easy
and, really,
peasy.
and really been able to enjoy ourselves.
Absolutely.
Like, and to me, that's really like, that's the essence of bushcraft, or that's like the real beauty of it, is when you learn to go out in the woods and be comfortable with that small of an amount of kit. Then when you get into the overlanding world and everything, it just makes everything, you know, at that point you're like living like a king, right? Like,
Yeah, easy. Yeah. You
like-
throw it in the back of the car, and you're like, oh, I got a cooler. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, and I got a cot.
right.
You know, and yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, when you can go out and have a good time with, you know, this right here, plus a knife and a fire steel, when you can actually go out in the woods and enjoy yourself on that, and you really can, it's really feasible. You got shelter with this tarp right here, you make bedding out of grass and boughs
Yeah,
and
boughs,
things
yep,
like
big
that,
one, yep.
and you make, you know, windbreak and fire reflective wall
With
out
stones
of wood,
and old wood, yeah.
Yep, you can actually really have a pretty comfortable experience out there with not very much gear.
And the thing is, like, you spend a day practicing, just do it like a day trip, you know, and then, okay, I'm gonna do an overnighter. You know,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna do 2 days. And you can realize how quickly 10 or 15 items you can spend, 2 days in the woods, and you're having the best time ever. And you want to, get a colossal, fly fishing rod.
Yeah.
Like little things you can add on, and all of a sudden, like, you're like, I have a 30-liter pack, and it has 15 pounds of stuff in it, tops.
Yeah. You add something like out in my country, one thing that's a very practical thing that happens is usually starting about this time of year, you have fire restrictions.
Yeah.
So you can't build a fire, but then you bring something like a little Trangia alcohol stove like this.
Which is what I started on.
As an example of like this is a camp stove right here. This and a little bottle of alcohol, and you have something to cook on as an alternative to fire.
And then you go a little bit more new age, which is basically the same thing, and a little MSR pocket rocket, and that's $35.
And now still, you have an amount of gear that fits in a easily fits in a little tiny backpack
Yeah,
like this.
25 liters,
And that's
easy
it.
peasy. Yeah. There's even more stuff down here. Like I hauled most of the stuff in a 35 liters backpack, and I still have plenty of room to go.
Yeah. What else do you got, Sean? You got some other stuff down there.
Oh man, I mean, I got the axe, which is a good one. You should always carry one of those.
What axe is this?
You
You
know,
got
That's the Council Tools
Council
force,
Tools.
yeah, force axe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice axe. A really nice size. This is about probably a 22 or 24
I think 22 to 24
handle.
inch. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's 2.5 or 3.5 pounds.
Okay.
So not too heavy, but I mean, I've limbed and cut a lot of trees down with that.
It's big enough that you can actually do some
You can do some work.
decent work with
Absolutely.
it, and
And gloves is another one too.
gloves is
man.
a huge deal.
Always
Yeah.
carry a set of gloves with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only one other thing that I have in here, besides a couple literature pieces, is my inch bag.
Oh,
And
excellent.
it's Coyote Works special.
Uh-huh,
This is where I found out about it. So he can explain the inch bag better than I can. But in here I have, a first aid kit, I have emergency blanket, I have zip ties, I have medication, I have a compass, I have a flashlight, extra batteries.
Uh-huh.
And right there, and you throw a little bit more food in there, 24 hours at least,
Yep.
ready
yep.
to go.
Yep.
And it's
that's
always my backpack. And I learned that from Casey.
Uh-huh. Yep. I always love to have a little survival inch module inside a backpack, and that's that one where you have basically all your basic emergency kit, bug out kit, if you will, in one little package that no matter where you go, it's easy to grab that. Like you
Yep.
can grab that, and if I swung by your house and said, hey, jump in the Jeep with me, let's run up in the hills, like something easy you can grab
go.
and know that you've got all your basic.
Easy peasy. That with, just a little bit of water.
Yeah.
And you're solid.
Yeah. All right, what else?
I don't know. One thing too, I've had people ask me, about like, what kind of like, what do I bring into the woods, to keep myself busy, during, the dead time.
Yeah.
And,
Like a great example of that is like in the wintertime around here where we're at in the Pacific Northwest, it gets dark at 5 o'clock.
yeah, and a lot of times it's raining.
Yep, and a lot of times it's raining or on my side of the mountain snowing or
Yeah,
cold or
exactly,
whatever.
right.
So, but generally you're not ready to go to sleep at 5 o'clock.
No, usually I'm just kind of like pacing around the tent as best
Yeah.
I can because I use backpacking tents
Yeah,
all the
now
time.
what do you do?
So I'm like,
Uh-huh.
all right. But, just a simple book, on bushcrafting, or, say a gun manual or, a fishing manual or a hunting manual or something, something that can teach you but also keep you, occupied. Writing in a journal is another good one. Writing in a journal I think is like one of the best things because also when you pick up something new, you can write it down real quick, and you're like, go back, you get home, you're like, oh man, I picked this up today and now it's good, but like I kind of messed up this, so like I'm gonna write myself a bit of a shopping list as well, and you go back, 5 years later and be like, man, I started there and now look where I'm at.
And I'll tell you something, man, now that you bring that up, and I was just thinking about this recently because that's something I wish that I would have done over a lot more of my outdoor career. And I'll give you one great example of it is I was out in the woods, I think just last weekend, with a friend who has not spent as much time out in the woods. And we're walking out in the woods, and she's asking me about all these different plants and stuff that we're passing. And I'm thinking, like, I used to know the name of that plant, but I couldn't remember the name of it. Now, I
Yeah.
know what the plant is. I know whether you can eat it or not. I know, but I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, I wish that I would have just written stuff down because when I was young, a lot of the old timers that I got to be out in the woods with, they knew all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they knew the names and everything, and that's really helpful. And I just feel like sometimes, man, I've forgotten more information about the woods than,
You can literally create your own training manual.
yeah.
And then when somebody's like,
How are
hey,
you?
I got this question, you can sit there and be like, well, here, read through that for a little bit, You do a little sketch, a little drawing, I mean, there's so much you can do with that, man. It's completely, I think everybody should carry one.
And now we have like our phones and stuff.
Right,
but-
tablets and cell phones.
Yeah, but like a book like that you can just, maybe trace a leaf that you don't know what it is, and then so you can show somebody
And write a
back
definition, was it flat, was it oval, was
Yeah.
it speared, was there, any berries on it, was there any thistles or whatever, and kind of break it down so you get home, you can, figure that out.
Yep. So do we have, okay, so who do we have back here? We got Eric. What's your name? Rebecca. And I forgot your name already. Larry.
Larry's the one
Eric,
who built that
Rebecca,
journal as
and
well.
Larry.
Yep. Yeah, that's more of Larry's work right there.
Oh, and you guys are leaving.
They're running. And we're out. He got called out.
So do you guys see any questions showing up on there are there any questions other than questions about the audio?
So for YouTube or for Instagram?
Either one.
Okay, so on YouTube, I don't know what you guys have seen yet, but someone said we recommended vehicle freezer, dual zone, or cooler.
I'll take that.
Out of all of those.
I'll take that. So I don't have a ton of experience. I do have a fridge. Personally, I like I went with a single zone refrigerator as opposed to a fridge freezer. My thought process for that is most of the time, you know, my trips are going to be like 5 days or less. I can put food that's frozen from home in the fridge, in the 12-volt fridge.
Yeah.
But I can also put stuff in there that I don't want to freeze, like my milk or my redneck lattes that I make in the morning, right?
Right.
And stuff like that. So personally, I feel like I have very little need to freeze stuff. Now, I do have a really good friend who loves ice cream sandwiches, and for him, having a fridge freezer is absolutely imperative.
That's a dedication I don't have.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. I don't really care about ice cream sandwiches.
No,
so.
me neither.
Do you know if those require much power? Like on the 12 volt?
What's that?
The freezers.
Yeah.
Do they require much power?
Well, some of them are getting really efficient. Like, so I don't even wire mine into the vehicle now, and I've actually ran mine. I have an 800 watt portable power station, and I've ran mine for 4 days off of that. Like at maintaining a temperature of like 33 degrees.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't leave it open all day and figure out what you
Exactly.
need, but
Right, exactly. So yeah, I think they're really efficient. And then, so what I can do with that too is I can charge that portable power station from my vehicle while I'm on the road during the day.
Yeah.
So
Are you using like a Jackery?
it's a Blackfire,
Blackfire,
but basically the same concept.
Yeah, I got a little Jackery, and I'm really enjoying that.
Yeah. So I mean, I was really impressed. I tested out pretty extensively in my house before I ever took it out in the field. I mean, my thing is like, and this might be part of kind of ties into what we were talking about
Right.
today, the old school. Like, I still just like an ice chest. I don't know why, but I like having ice out there. I like an old school ice chest. But there are times, you know, in the summer, extended trips and stuff like that, when it is hard to keep ice for a number of days.
Which is why I've done the cooler with the frozen water bottles.
Yep.
So that way I also am carrying water. So as it defrosts, I have that water, which is a really good way to go. It's
Dude,
also
that's
cheap.
old school,
It's
man.
very old school.
That's how, when I grew up, that's what we did. We had like a belly freezer,
Yeah.
one of those chest freezers, and I swear half of that freezer was full of like 2/3 of the way full frozen bottles of water.
Well, we did it for elk camp and like deer
Yep,
camp, you know,
yep.
because you needed to cool that stuff off, and that was a good way to do it. You
Uh-huh.
know, also if you need to extinguish your fire at the end of your camping trip,
Yep.
there you go. You know,
Yeah.
you run up your water for your coffee, pull one of those guys out.
Yeah.
Or make an ice latte.
Right. My ice latte. All right. Any other questions?
I'm not seeing anything else.
Everyone else is just complaining about the audio.
Yeah.
Consistent.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, we do what we can. All right. Well, I don't know what else, man. I think
I think that's pretty much about it.
Yeah, anybody that we haven't lost, please do go over and follow Seansqqatchpnw on YouTube and at Seansqqatchpnw on Instagram. Again, we've got the giveaway going on over there on his channel. So we've got a Mora knife, an Opino folder, a book,
But from Nesmic, so
some
yeah.
cool stuff over there. So go over and leave a comment on Sean's latest Instagram post. And man, as always, I really appreciate all your support. Have a good time doing these lives. It's been super cool.
It's super fun. Yeah.
Doing this together. This is ultimately what I would like to
I
do.
comment a
is
lot,
just-
but you're always down in the woods. You
I
know,
know.
so I'm like, hey, buddy, I wish I was there. You know?
I know, man.
I'm not giving you gas money this time, though.
All right, I know, that's a bummer. Yeah, that's the only problem with having you on is I'm not getting that $5.
Yep, I know.
Darn it.
That
All
only
right.
got a couple miles, anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
Right, anymore.
$3.89 a gallon.
$3.99 over
Yeah.
here, yeah.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah. All right. So I don't know what else, man. You got anything else you want to throw out there?
I think that's about it. It's warm in here.
It's warm in here, and I think we need to go outside, and we got a whole crowd of people out there to hang out with and visit with.
Yeah.
So just want to say thank you to all the support and everything. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and hit us up with any questions, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Yeah, have a good one, guys.
Coyote Works, out.
Have a good one, guys.